Last week we talked about a perfect storm of trends that are happening, like the age of the customer, when all the internet is focusing toward the customer, and the Sherlock is perfectly positioned for that. And we talked about mobile as being as a huge trend, and m-commerce, e-commerce as perfect storms and into trend. And I'd like to just to talk a little bit about how Google has changed the world and how the Sherlock is so similar for everyone to benefit from it. It's really modeled after a lot of the things that Google did right. Google was founded in 1997 and really changed the world. And it was really when they started using something called page ranking. That's what their algorithm helps find. It ranks searches by pages. And Google is a phenomenal organization. I mean, they're worth $350 billion in 2014. $350 billion. I mean, they're bigger than most countries. And so Google is gigantic. It's huge. And Google, it's just amazing to think of some of the things that are happening with Google. I mean, right now they're doing 3.5 billion searches a day. 3.5 billion searches a day. I mean, that's massive. You know how every day, you know how much video is watched on YouTube every day? Do you think it's a year's worth a day, or 10 years, or 100 years? It's actually 450,000 years of video is watched every month on YouTube every month, and so it's just a huge amount of use. And so Google is a massive company that is very successful, and successful for a number of things. Now, we are in the age of Google, and if you want to read about the age of Google, there's a book by Jeff Jarvis called What Would Google Do? And it talks about Google and why it was perfectly positioned for this time, and why companies that model themselves with that same model are successful in this day and age. And so Google changed everything, and the Sherlock really rides on very similar trends that Google has ridden on. Now, Google didn't create the internet. Google just found out the best way to tap into the internet. And Google is a search company, and they don't stress shopping. If they were like about shopping, Google Shopping would be on the front of their page, not just this tiny little word that says shopping, right? They want people to search. They make their money through search. And so search, how much does search cost us? It's free, right? It's free to us, free to use. How much does it cost to use the Sherlock? It's free to use, and that's the model. It's free on the internet. If you want to get space on the internet, if you want to get eyeballs, if you want to grow on the internet, you want to be free to the user. And that's one reason why the Sherlock is free to the user. It's a Google model. Now, people who give away, who fund Google, people who fund Google are the advertisers, and they're paying for eyeballs. So when people use Google, they're seeing ads, and when they click on ads, they actually fund Google. And so it's the people that are like, it's the advertisers that make Google possible. Now, a distributor and affiliate of the Sherlock, we get an income when people use the Sherlock. And so it's a similar model there too. And so Google, what Google does is it takes and simplifies search. It's easier to find what you're looking for on Google than other search engines. And so in the day of this huge amount of information where people are watching 450,000 years of video a month, when you have so much information, it's the companies that can bring things together and sift through those to find out what you're looking for. That's the power. It's not having a lot of information anymore that's the power. It's finding the right information when you need it. And so that's the power of Google. Google helps us find what we're looking for better than the other search engines. That's why people use it more. And so people use it because it helps sift through, but the Sherlock sifts through when people are shopping. And so it goes through all these choices on the internet and helps us find the best price at once. So we really have capitalized on the age of Google in addition to the age of the customer and the age of mobile commerce and the age of e-commerce. All these ages are all, the Sherlock's right in the middle of these. And even better than Google, because Google, if you go look for a product on Google, it's not going to necessarily find the best price, and it's going to find, you look up at the top and it's going to say 57 million results, right, that you found. So where is the best price in those 57 million in that list? So I think in the area of shopping, the Sherlock has a leg up on Google. Even though as big as Google is, its model isn't to find us the best price as a customer. Its model is to benefit its advertisers. And so it doesn't always find the best price. And so the Sherlock does. So the Sherlock capitalizes perfectly on the age that we're in today. And it finds the best price. And I just had an experience. I was looking to replace the things that keep the lift gate on my Grand Cherokee up. You know, I was at a wedding, and my niece, I confused her with one of my other nieces, and so I was a little embarrassed. She was embarrassed, and so I knew I had to fix the lift gate because she was walking out of the building, and I was getting a package out of the Grand Cherokee, and I turned around, and the lift gate fell on my head. So she goes, "Do you remember who I am now?" You know, so I knew at that point I had to replace the lift gate. And so I went on Google and I found a pair for $40. Now, the hood's not staying up either anymore, so I had to change those. So I went and Sherlocked it, and the Sherlock found for $25 both the back door and the front hood for $25. So probably saved $55 on that purchase. The Sherlock really does work. You know, we're going on a trip out to the East Coast. We're going to drive. We like that. It gives us a chance to get caught up and talk and stop at different places like Gettysburg and stuff on the way, Hershey Park, whatever, you know. And so we like to drive. And so we're going to be staying in a hotel. And so, you know, you find these hotels for $144, but what the Sherlock does, which is really cool, I don't have to go just to hotels.com or just to bookit.com. The Sherlock looks for all of them and lines them all up so I can find the best deal for me. Because I don't want to have a queen bed, I want a king bed. I don't want to have a smoking room or non-smoking. But it goes to all these different sites and finds them and lines them up so I can find them so easily. And so we found excellent deals for our trip. And so the hotel feature works as well. So, you know, what does this all mean? What do all these ages and things mean? It means that technology is changing the world that we live in. It means that everyone that we meet their employment situation is changing, their companies are changing, there's mergers all the time that are being created by the internet. I mean, Charter bought Time Warner. That's because the internet's changing the market space that they're in. Other companies are going out of business, and so what's happening? I mean, what's happening around us? The world is changing. And so the environment that we find ourselves in, the environment that our friends and family find themselves in is changing. And so we owe it to them to help them because they're going to need to move into the new economy, and the Sherlock helps them do that. And so I was confronted with that situation. I was confronted with a change in my economy. And so the company that I was working for was an information company. We adopted the internet as a company, and for a period of time that we leveraged that successfully, but the internet kept becoming a more and more disruptive feature in the publishing industry. And so we published information, and so a lot of the information that we were selling was now becoming free on the internet. It was changing the industry that we were in. And so one day I'm hearing from my boss, you know, we're my new boss, and so the company's shrinking, so I get a new boss, and the boss comes in and says, Mark, on Friday, he says, Mark, it's going to be great, we're going to do well, we're going to take that hill. This company's going to do great. And I said, great, I'm in. And then I get a call on Monday saying, well, you know, we had to cut out one of the divisions, and because your division's in between two other divisions, we're going to close your division. And so I was taking the hill with him on Friday, and I was leaving the hill with him on Monday. And so it was just the way it goes. And so I was out the door. And so I ended up needing to find work, but I didn't want to keep going down the same roads of the same type of companies that I worked for before. So when I met Chuck, he had something that I'd been looking for. He had a technology that would help me create my own business and create my own business in the middle of the new technologies and all these ages, all these trends, right? And so I just started working with Chuck. I put people in front of him. He signed them up. And we went from there, and so my business grew. And I found a few very influential people in my community that made a big difference early on. And I didn't know a lot of people because I wasn't from St. Louis. I came down to St. Louis to change a division that was in bad shape, and we did that before they closed it. You know, and so I had to meet more people. And so what I did is I started going to business functions. I started going to tastes of this town and tastes of that town. I just started meeting people, and as I met people, I just asked them if they would be interested in making money online, and then I asked them if they'd give me a way to contact them, and I contacted them, and a few very influential ones had coffee with me, and eventually they joined my business, and they just knew a lot of people who became part of my business. It's pretty cool when you find influential people who know a lot of people that can get involved with you. It really helps drive the business. So just working about an hour a day, because I was also working at a church, an hour a day, I was able to set myself free, financially free in 1 year. And so it really does work. And I still use it to save money. I think I saved, depending on how you look at it, between $300 and $500. If you count the labor at the auto dealer, I saved about $500. But if you just count the parts themselves, I saved about $300 just this Saturday on what I bought through the Sherlock. So it really does work. So I'm glad I'm here. And thanks for sharing with me, Chuck. Appreciate it. Thank you.